Miigwech, Bonjour, Ani, Wache, Kwekwe. Welcome, everyone. Coast to coast to coast is the idea. We've had a number of these full moon ceremonies along the way here, and I've got with me in this room Jessica Pose and Alexander Leyland. They're our guardians starting up with us this summer. In addition, to kick us off in a good way, we've now since acquired a cultural revitalization coordinator, Christina Benkitis, who is affiliated with one of our 3 owner communities through kinship. And she's working full-time and hard with us to bring ceremony and activities to our membership in different ways. So I'm not a singer yet, maybe that's to come, but Christina is. So we'd asked her to just come on board and share a few words and bring this session open for us on this full moon.
My name is Firewolf. I am of the Eagle Clan and I carry the spirit of the White Buffalo. I'm also known as Christina Benkitis, and I'm the Cultural Revitalization Coordinator with Wakotewin. And it's an honor to be here today, and it's so good to bring this good medicine and start this in a good way. Today I'd like to remember and honor our missing and murdered Indigenous women. It is Red Dress Day today, and so I just want to acknowledge that and give thanks for this beautiful day and these beautiful teachings that have been left from our ancestors that we carry on through our generations. So with that, I'd like to sing the Rainbow Warrior song. It's an ancestor song. So I just want to give thanks for that and acknowledge all this good medicine that we have. Mingret maneto yaera yaera we ya we ahero we ahero we ahera ahera we ahera Yahera, Yahweh, Yahera, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahera, Yahera, Yahweh, Yahweh, Donde Sanade, Miguel, Saneto, Yahera, Yahera, Yahweh, Ahero, Ahero, Miguel.
Miigwech. Well, thanks so much, Christina. I hope we were working troubleshooting on some of the audio there, just to try and make it so that our singers can be heard loud and clear. So I hope that came through relatively well at everyone's end. And thanks again, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. My voice is a little bit hoarse here. I've got some sort of cough acting up on me, but we'll get through this. So I'm on the agenda here to introduce myself a little bit and why I'm with RAD and some of the concepts that RAD is working through. I came to RAD just about a year ago. I was one of the ones being pulled into last year's hurricane gathering that didn't quite go. And I've since been communicating with the leadership team at RAD, and then at the same time, I was actually onboarded onto Indigenous Leadership Initiative on their senior advisory group, and I was encouraged to actually continue to work with the 7th Stream and what RAD might become. So I've been actively participating on the leadership team in that regard. ILI has been the group that's been lobbying for the National Guardian Network money, and lobbied from the 25 million to the 350 million, and they're getting ready to go on to the next thing, if you will, as it relates to empowering Indigenous people across Canada and supporting IPCAs and projects for permanence. So in a non-political fashion, that's the spirit and intent of ILI, but to change the minds and hearts of the people at the national level making those decisions. And of course, we're into something very serious right now, and that is climate action and climate change, and what is the conservation economy. And given that this moon is the flowering moon and the regenerative moon in our life cycle, it seems fitting right now that as we come out of our visioning exercise that we just had in Fredericton, for those that weren't able to join us for the 3 days, again, we opened a 3-day visioning exercise in relatively deep ceremony, as best you can in a large group like that, in a conference style format, and carry it right through open and closing. So it's actually quite a beautiful thing, and it really integrates with our roles, responsibilities, our unextinguished rights, use rights, jurisdiction, territory, sovereignty. The Constitution of Canada, frankly, doesn't reign over our inherent rights and jurisdiction. And when we speak of how do we become regenerative and restore our sovereignty, our natural law systems, that is where we need to go with parts of the conversation of RAD. And everybody's needs are going to be different across Canada, across regions. We all have different provincial actors, and the world is, while it's big, it's kind of small in terms of financing and investors and how to create projects across Canada. But RAD is born out of COP15, the name RAD, Restore, Assert, Defend. And I'm going to stick with this on the principle that this network is going to generate the tools and resources that many of our nations are going to need. There's a plurality out there for this. And where I come from in the Treaty 9 territory, the Height of Land Treaty that represents 2/3 of the landmass of Ontario, this provincial jurisdiction is doing nothing to step forward with conservation planning, and neither is it being cognizant of the need for climate action response. So Treaty 9 territory is 49 First Nations. Wakato and Development is an acting arm of 3 of those communities, and we play an advocacy role in raising the support and reaction and action required or requested of us to support the community's developments of their lands and resource departments. We have a Guardian program running, and the idea is we're in a time of reconciliation and time to turn the page. And there's the United Nations Declaration on the action plan that Canada at the federal level is looking at unfolding as well. So lots of room to create a lot of leadership roles, whether you're a technician, a political person, a consultant, an ally, foundation. This is a chance for us to act in a very spirited collective way, to really strengthen everybody's response and reaction. We can't wait another 10 years to create action. The action has to start now. So again, fitting that this is a regenerative moon, and if we can live in the spirit of our life cycles as intended, this is the time to put a lot of big energy into change. So I'll just pause there and maybe ask Mary Kate if she wants to supplement on some of the mechanics of RAD and where we are as a leadership team. But that's my offering to open up the conversation for today. Oh,
that's so great. Thanks, David. Maybe the only thing I would ask, my name's Mary Kate. I have the great honor of helping to weave some of this together so far. And as David said, we just came out of a gathering, and it was really, I think, quite a special time. And many of you who are here were there with us. And, I think we all left there really feeling pretty lit up about what is going to be created. So for any of you who haven't been part of this, or this might be the first full moon that you've been part of, and you're wondering what this RAD network is, RAD stands for Restore, Assert, and Defend. We could just briefly put up, Zach, if you would, the 3 slides that just show the graphics that came out of, oh yeah, that's this week's question, but there's 3 slides that show the graphics from, and we will be sending these around. But this was just a beautiful snapshot of the conversation that we had. And so we will send these out, and people can have a look at what got created, and just have an idea of the conversations that happened there. It was a powerful time. And really it is in the context of what we are now weaving all together. So this network is starting. This network, has been going for a while and has now some materials, but really we're at the start. We've planted seeds, and each of you who are here on the call, you are RAD, we're all RAD. So I think that's the thing that we really wanted to create, that RAD isn't this thing that's outside of something that's going to create things that we'll then deliver. Like, each of us is part of it, and each of us is part of this basket that has been woven together. That's great. Thanks, Zach. Do you want to take that one down? The other piece of this is, if you are wanting to be part of what we now create post-gathering, where we have lots of notes and that will be synthesized, and we'll create a vision report in the next while. but there's lots of opportunity. If you're out there and you're thinking, well, I'd like to be more involved in this, then please, be more involved, feel like you can be. And Laura can put the RAD partnership Gmail into the chat. This is a way for anyone who wants to get in touch. You can get in touch with us via this email. And there's lots of ways that we're going to be in the next while weaving together the information that we've already got, but also thinking through what are the groups that we now need to create and what are the next action steps. So that's just an invitation for all of you to get involved in whatever way you'd want to. And I'll hand it back over to you, David. And you could talk a little bit more if you'd like to about this month's question and what you kind of see for that. And maybe Zach, if you want to pull up the slide with the question again, and David will just set that up a little bit, and then we will do as we usually do and go into some breakout rooms and discuss this together in smaller groups. Okay, back over to you.
Perfect. So two things I want to do to anchor us as well, just remind everybody that Guelph was hosting the Conservation Through Reconciliation Partnership. And again, RAD is an output of Stream 7, which is the financing stream, conservation financing. And RAD has evolved to say, well, if it's going to plug into that space, the IPCAs and the projects for permanence are one thing. The IPCA's knowledge basket and centers of excellence are another thing. But everybody's circling around this question of how do we develop projects? How do we get in front of project development within the locations and locales and jurisdictions making up our territories? Who are the actors, and how do we attract different kind of financing models into the room with us? And again, that speaks to the vibrancy, that speaks to that nourishment of stabilizing the ability to do some of these projects. And at the end of the day, it's meant to benefit the people that live and breathe in the forest that they call home, and they want to continue to do that as they have forever and a day. So that's the spirit and intent of it. And then again, back to the ceremonies that were conducted, it was really actually quite beautiful because everyone was asked to bring a small packet of soil from their homelands that actually were added to this vessel that became part of this really beautifully weaved ash basket that really speaks to the collective of RAD, the rawness of, from the land, by the people, of the people. So we had a land-based ceremony with the fire and water, and all for the purpose of, climate action and that fourth element, wind and air. Because we are all born of those elements and what Mother Earth provides for us. So I thought that was really fitting way to launch the actual go forward activities as we birth RAD. One of the other aspects we're building up to the RAD visioning session, the leadership team kind of synthesized a thought piece going into the visioning exercise, and coming out of it, it was really good to feel like it wasn't a totally different page from what the participants felt needed to happen. So, we were walking kind of in step. It wasn't like the leadership team was way off over here and everybody that came to participate. But we did know, and this is the beauty of RAD again, is wherever we have knowledge gap, there's additional research that needs to be provided, information needs, places to take action. That's where these working committees come in. And I think that's the call to action we're looking for folks. If you have that knowledge or know where to find it, or, no stone unturned to accelerate that knowledge exchange, that's just some examples of the purposing of this whole exercise.
The question this week: how can Indigenous-led regenerative or conservation financing contribute to the healing and readying of the nations? So that's the question that we're holding today in the groups.
And I'll just share before we bust off into, again, our communities are on the outside of the economic engine of the building of Canada as nations and the provinces. We weren't full participants in the benefits derived from the development of the resources and materials. So we're outside of that holistic well-being, which is not the relationship we've always been meaning to have. So, you know, we're at this place where there's these gaps and there's real financing and real money that can come into regions. And there's different parts of Canada that some Indigenous communities have led by example, particularly the Great Bear Rainforests and some of the work on Haida Gwaii and carbon financing. So in that regard, this is what we're getting at by, you know, as we ready the communities to take up that space and become actors in this conservation financing, and, you know, how can that accelerate and build the healing journey that most of our communities are on to create that reinvestment model.